I found something in my yard that I have never seen in over 30 years of maintaining turf grass. It's shocking, it's scary, and I'll get to it here in a minute. But anyway, I wanted to do a diagnostic video. I actually found something on my grass just the other day that candidly I've not seen in 30 years. And I thought, I might want to do a diagnostic video because this is the time of year, summer, that things are going on with your yard. I just did a summer management video. I'll check, you put that here at the end. It tells you how to manage yourself through July 4th to the end of Labor Day for most of you guys in the mid-Atlantic and basically east of the Mississippi, West Mississippi. West of the Mississippi is a little more challenging. About to take you into what they'll give you some management strategies of how to get through late September, so at least that way you'll survive. And I've got a lot of good ones in there too that I've used on golf courses and even on home lawns and sports fields for the last 30 years that I've been doing this. So I wanted to do a diagnostic. A couple of things that maybe are coming up. I wanted to show you how to identify fungus, how to identify drought stress, how to identify maybe things going on with your yard that are not drought stress, fungal related, but maybe environmental related that you might want to look at, might want to consider when you see brown spots and damaged turf in your yard. What is this? Those of you who saw my summer management video, don't cheat. But what is this? We got to look at the time of year. We got to look at what the weather conditions are. We got to look at when this happened. This actually started happening in June. And what have we done? Well, it's got good fungicide applications. I know. I've been putting them on. And started in June. It got hot. It got dry. It is summer dormancy. Okay, the turf, as I explained in my summer management video, it's summer dormancy. Now, how do I know this? Let's really look down at the grass and see what we're dealing with here. Okay, note the color, and I'm going to do a side-by-side of dollar spot and fungus, and just notice the color here. It's more, I don't know, the best way I can describe it, it's not a straw color. It's kind of like, it's got some browns in it. And I'm going to give it a tug, and it's actually fairly well rooted, which tells me that that probably is not a grub issue. The other way I can do it, I can also dig up a section of this, okay, take a very large spot, okay, do it very deeply and pull it up, and if you see grubs, that probably is grubs. Now we're into July, this is 14th, I think. Grubs are going to be eaten here pretty soon, but I put my acelepryn down. I should not have a grub issue, so that should be taken. If you hadn't had a grub treatment, and we went over that in my grub video, you should be okay. But this is summer dormancy. I mean, you can actually see, and the grass is kind of coming up like that too. And what's happening is it's basically breaking off the crown. I went over that in my summer management video. But that's another diagnostic tool. Do you just see how dry it is? You don't want to do that too much. You want to leave that canopy on there so it, you have some shade. You don't want to take it all the way down the crown, but that kind of gives you an idea the difference between a fungus and summer dormancy. Now what about fungus? Some of you guys have seen this in the other videos, so I understand I'm redoing it, but it was just a perfect way to diagnose exactly what's going on and how to identify a fungus during the summer. It's morning. What am I doing out here in the morning while I'm brewing my coffee? I hadn't combed my hair yet. Oftentimes you come across a little spot of grass in your yard that's a little brown, or looks a little weird, or the leaves are twisted, or maybe it's discolored like a red or a pink. Morning is when you're going to come out here and you're going to confirm if it's fungus. So what happens when it's dewy like this? The mycelia, which is the reproductive structures of the fungus, are actually out. During the day, when the sun comes out and it dries up a bit, those mycelia go away, and they're very, very difficult to see. So in the morning is when I want to come out here. I want to look and I want to confirm if I have a fungus or not. And here we go. We found some spots, and I'll use the word spot carefully. But if we look down, we can see these little white mycelia is what they are. Those are the reproductive structures of the fungus. This happens to be dollar spot. How do I know that? Well, I'm an agronomist and I know that. But you can also identify it because if you look,
it's spots, spot, 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 spot. This is a fairly aggressive area.
Okay, got some red thread working here, and you can see where I'm holding it, kind of how the leaf is beginning to get attacked by the fungus.
Okay, this is Pythium. It's got a lot of grays in it. It's a larger area than Dollar Spot. It has mycelia like Dollar Spot, but it has mycelia all over the place. Now, there's Dollar Spot. So you can kind of compare and contrast between these two. You have, the quarter or 50-cent piece Dollar Spot, and then you have this larger area for Pythium. Both have the mycelia, but the Pythium's got the grays in it. Now, the upper left is what we just went over with the red thread, and you can see a little bit more reds and a sort of a darker brown color in it. Then gives you an idea of what that fungus looks like. But you can see these three, and I tell you what, I'm going to give you one more. I'm going to give you a brown patch. Now, brown patch you can get it about any time during the year. It's a little bit like red thread in its coloring. And right there, so you can kind of get an idea of exactly what all these three are together. And there at the bottom, now you can compare all of these together to the drought stress or the summer dormancy going on with your grass. So now you know the difference between a fungus and summer dormancy / drought stress.
Okay, this is something else you see a lot of, particularly during the summer. And if you notice in here, okay, you've got a lot of dry spot right in there. And then on the far tree, you can see over here, okay, I'm doing this backwards, but you can see in there where it's also dry, okay? Both of those are outside the canopy of the tree. It's called the drip line. And that is actually where you have where the tree gets majority of its water is right along the outside of the tree. You can stand underneath the tree during at least the first part of the rainstorm, stay relatively dry. All that water is actually going outside the drip line of those trees, and that's where typically you get localized dry spots. Now, you can hand water those, but to give you an idea of it, you don't look where you're having your brown grass and try to eliminate things like this instead of going, oh, it's a fungus, it's a fungus. Nah, got to look at it a little closer and see what's going on. Okay, here's another one. It's on the edge of this road, okay? And you can see a difference between what is summer dormancy here, okay? You see the brown straw color. Over here, this grass is a significant different color, and it is pretty much no rooting there at all. This actually got a little bit of rooting left, okay? I can pull on that. I pull it pretty hard, it's gonna come up. But that's actually got some rooting. This is just gone. So what happened here? What's the difference between this and that? Well, we know that's summer dormancy. This, come out here sometime when you got a weird spot like this in a rainstorm and give you an idea. And I've seen this sometimes seeps, meaning water's actually coming up out of the ground, bringing bicarbonates, which sometimes can seal the soil up. That usually is a black layer that occurs if you have a bicarbonate problem. Sometimes that happens, particularly during the summer. That's that black layer you see. And usually how you solve that is you have to just air fight out of there, and you really have to you have to spike it or air fight in some way, and actually sometimes I actually have to remove that layer. But on this one, what's happening here is the water is coming down, and during a rainstorm you can see this. And if you look on down through here, okay, look at the dead spot here and how it's coming all the way down and keeps on going and going and going and going. It's real simple. The asphalt gets about 155 to 160 degrees during the summer. We have a rainstorm and that water hits that asphalt, turns to about 150 degrees and goes on the grass here and smokes it. So, when you have something like that on the border of your property, something to think about when you have influences from a road. It could be greases and oils, but probably it's going to be heat that whacks your grass. Now, I am going to solve this. I'm going to oversee this lawn with Artemis tall fescue this fall, and this I'll probably incorporate some sand into it to bring it up to level to keep it as much on the road as humanly possible.
Give you another diagnostic tool. Basically, this is beginnings of drought stress or localized drought spot. When you can walk in grass and you can see your footsteps this pronounced, generally it's a drought stress situation and you need to do some hand watering. I did this on greens all the time. You'd step on it and see how it goes. Now, in contrast, sorry if this is a little dizzying, but this is on Bermuda grass. So I can walk on this Bermuda grass all day long, and it's just not a problem at all. It just bounces right back. It's not under stress. This is the same day, same area, same time, and you cannot see the footprints in it at all. Okay, had to save the teaser for the last that I was shocked about. And it was pretty neat. I actually have seen for the first time, because we have been more 90-degree days in the last week and a half than we did all of last year. And we've been almost 2 weeks without water here in the mid-Atlantic. And that has probably been probably the longest we went without water for years. It's been very wet here. I actually found, I'll show you.
A little bit of investigative work here. Now see this is where the shade tree is. And over there is where I'm seeing the Bermuda grass starting to come up. So essentially what's going on here is you've got Bermuda grass over here that is essentially coming up in clumps like that. Okay, a little bit of growth at the top. So I'm going to check for mites, but I doubt I have them. A little too far north for that. My suspicion is this is just a reaction for lack of water over the last 2 weeks because we haven't had any rain. Overall, the garden looks pretty good, but that's the kind of investigative stuff you've got to do when you've got something coming up. Look at the different conditions, where the damage is and where it is not, and move on accordingly. The likelihood of it being a fungus is going to be here, not there, because that's going to be drier than this. Because this, right now, it's, I don't know, 10 o'clock-ish. So, yeah, you're going to have, and you can see a little more damage back here. Actually, where it's starting to come up here, over here, in spots. So the likelihood of this simply being a reaction to drought stress on this Bermuda is pretty doggone high. Is it devastating to me? Not right now.
The reason why that shocked me was I've never seen drought stress on Bermuda grass because, one, we've always had good rain here, and two, I've always irrigated the golf course, the 419 Bermuda grass I managed in North Carolina. So it was weird. So, when I saw that, I initially thought mites because they're the horrible scare going on in the southeast and actually southwest and southeast, the entire southern part of the country. It's way too far up here for mites. So it's just localized dry spots. It looks like witch's broom, but there again, you got to step back and you got to have an idea what the devil's going on and look for your shade, look for your water. Now, the Bermuda grass mites, you would have to get a microscope, or not a microscope, but a looking glass. Anyway, you have a magnifying glass and actually look at where, and it would look like a witch's broom, very similar to what you have there. But you would have to look at about where the leaf sheath comes into the leaf comes into the leaf sheath, and on the underside of that, you'll see the little mites in there. Treating for mites is not that big a deal. However, the problem is you generally need to treat for them in April, oddly enough. And I've done some research on those, and I wanted to do a video on them and was going to, because they're the scourge of Bermuda grass down south. But really, you can put a product called Demon out. I'm going to leave a link to Bermuda grass mites in the comments because it is being a pretty big deal. I was going to do a video on it, but really I'm going to do it next spring because there's no sense to be doing it now because the damage is done. The product is Demon. Golf Course Management has an article on. I'll leave it at the bottom. So anyway, but hey, if you subscribe and hit the bell, I will give you heads up of what you need to be doing to your grass. I keep things very topical, just like me talking about Bermuda grass mites and how to diagnose fungus and how to diagnose these things. So that way you're not going out and wasting your money, wasting your time on throwing out fungicides. And that's one of the things that really prompted me to do this video, particularly on the fungicide and particularly on the summer dormancy. A lot of people going into summer dormancy throwing expensive fungicides out. I'm going to leave my fungicide video here at the end. Please look at it. It's going to save you money. It is, because you're going to be throwing stuff out that's not going to be working, and you can diagnose things. Now, with this video, you can diagnose things pretty well too. In fact, I do probably the best job I've done on diagnosing fungus in any video I have. I'm going to go ahead and leave you the summer stress management video. I encourage you, this will solve all the problems that you've seen in this video. I'm also going to leave you the grub video. And if you have not had a grub application out, please look at that video. You're going to need it here in a week or two, if you don't already, for those of you further south. So anyway, a little bit about me. I'm an agronomist, 1994 graduate of North Carolina State University. I have a degree in agronomy and my golf course maintenance construction for over 30 years. So I've been doing this a little while. And just passed my first anniversary of a YouTube channel and have over 2,000 subscribers. If you like, please do. Everybody always asks that, but if you do, it brings me up higher in the search engines. And this is an educational based channel. I don't do hacks. Everything I say is going to be based on university research, and I am not here to entertain. I am here to educate, because I've been doing this for a long time. And there are other great YouTubers, but there is also some stuff out there that will damage your yard and will waste your time and will waste your money. And anyway, you're not going to get that here. So I appreciate you watching. My name is Greg Phillips. Subscribe to the channel. Take a look at some of the offerings that I have, and I appreciate you watching.